everyone, Kim Levinsky. Today is February 20th, 2023, and this is the second vlog of The Long Path. Once again, I seem to be joined by the cat. I think she just automatically knows when the video is recording and she jumps up on the desk. So she's here supervising, I suppose. So for this vlog for The Long Path, I want to be chatting about the planning and logistics that are going on behind the scenes for this project. If you followed along with the Tahoe 200 vlog the last year and a half or 2 years, whatever it is, you know that I love to geek out on maps and I love Excel spreadsheets and getting all organized like that. Neurotic labeling, all those things. So I think the more organized you can be ahead of time, the better. Doesn't mean that things aren't going to go wrong, but trying to be proactive with planning is a good thing in my mind. So I want to give you kind of like a behind the scenes look in what is going on for Long Path planning. And what I'm going to try to do is some screen recordings and do like a voiceover so I can narrate with you seeing what's going on in the spreadsheet. I am very much an open book when it comes to these things. This is not like, I'm not really into like the secretive FKT thing. And if you do that, that's cool. But to me, this isn't really about the FKT. I mean, that's going to be a cool part of it if I am able to finish. But ultimately, it's about the journey and the experience. So, and if I can help anybody along the way with the planning and all that process stuff, I'm happy to do it. That's what I did with Tahoe 200, and I'd like to continue doing that with these vlogs. So, at any point, if you guys got questions, you can always reach out to me. My email is listed in the YouTube description, whatever thing. I think it's on my profile as well. You can always find contact information on SassquadTrailRunning.com. So, anyway, let's jump into this. Okay, welcome to my spreadsheet. This is the Long Path spreadsheet. It's a shared document that I've got shared with a few friends who are going to be helping me along the way. So the first tab that I've got open here, this is the resources tab. I've got a list of quick links that I'm accessing all the time just to make life easier. And I've also got a list of friends I know who have done the Long Path, and then I'm keeping a running tab of folks who have offered to give some support during July. So here's the process. I want to share the process of how I've gone about the planning. We're going to start with the New York, New Jersey Trail Conference. They are the nonprofit organization that maintains over 2,000 miles of trails in New York and New Jersey, and they maintain all 358 miles of the Long Path. The Trail Conference is working to purchase land and to continue building the trail so it connects up to the Adirondacks. The Trail Conference has put together this guide that is incredibly detailed and comprehensive. The amount of information they've put out here is really staggering, and it's been so helpful for planning. So where I started was with the Long Path end-to-end tally sheet. So with this tally sheet, basically what I had to do is reverse it. So all the information on the Long Path guide for the Trail Conference goes from south to north, starting in New York City, GWB, finishing up in Albany at Thatcher Park. So that was the first big task, was basically just copying all this information and then dragging it into my spreadsheet and reversing it. So basically just you flipped it upside down. So now starting in Albany, John Thatcher Park, finishing the GWB in New York City. So that was the first task, and along with that was some ultramath, how to flip all the mileage and make sure that that was accurate. So all the sections were reversed, the mileage was reversed, and the sections are reversed. From there, I used the Backpacking the Long Path guide that is so unbelievably detailed. It's really staggering the amount of information that's in here. So the Trail Conference, what they did is they took each section of the Long Path and then they divided it into these charts. So they listed, are there lean-tos in this section? Is there camping allowed in this section? Are there hotels, motels? where is food along the way? Are there restaurants, grocery stores, gas stations, stuff like that? And then are there post office? So for folks who are doing through hikes, they can use the post office for resupply points. So I took all of this information and dropped it into the spreadsheet. I organized it the same way they did, with columns for lean-to, camping, hotel, and food. But again, here's where the ultra math came in with the brain-breaking activities, with having to flip-flop all of the mileage information for these various information points: the lean-tos, camping, hotel, and food. So I was using the backpacking guide, and say, for example, we'll look at the food available in this first section. There's the State Line Lookout snack bar at mile 11.35. But that's not actually mile 11.35 for me, because it's flip-flopped. So I would have to look at what was the total mileage for this section. So we got to go up to the top, 14.1. And if it's saying that the snack bar was at 11.35, you would have to subtract that from 14.1. And I don't do math in my head, so 14.1 minus 11, what was it? 11.35. So that snack bar is actually at mile 2.75 instead of mile 11.35. So hopefully that makes sense. That was very detailed, very tedious to do that, dropping in this information. And that's a reason why I don't want to share this document just yet. I'm going to wait until the project is over in the summer to share it, because I don't know this information is completely correct. This is based off of my own math. And I would hate for somebody to be using this and think, okay, well, the campground is listed at mile 4.5, but it was actually like mile 8. And that's Kim's fault. So I'm going to hold off on sharing this. Obviously, you're seeing a little behind the scenes here, but happy to share, but just want to make sure the info is correct once I go through the whole project. Okay, so that was the first couple of steps, getting this spreadsheet organized. And then the next step is trying to take a stab at making daily mileage goals for the long path journey. So the process for that was I would start out in Gaia. I prefer using Gaia for mapping tools. There's all different options out there. I really like Gaia. I find it's easy to use. It's worth like the $40 it costs for the annual membership. So I dropped in a GPX file of the long path. You can find a bunch of them online. And that is, I basically just leave that visible so it can be overlaid with building the various sections. So what I would do is, using the create route tool, would just basically click and drag right over the pre-existing GPX file for the long path. And as you're doing that, you can see on the left side of the screen that the mileage is accumulating, and then also the elevation gain and descent. You can see that all down here. So I'm keeping an eye on that. And as I'm getting closer to what I think, what's the possible mileage for the day going to look like, I'm going back into this spreadsheet and taking a peek at, okay, are there any lean-tos? Is there camping available? Can I catch a hotel? What kind of food is available? So those are the various considerations on how long each of the days will be. Again, I know this is going to change 100 times between now and July, and it'll probably change in the middle of it, but I think it's helpful to have a couple plans in place. So once I created the section GPXs, I would save them and then drop it in here on the left-hand side where it's got the total mileage, the elevation gain, the elevation loss, and then I've got each of those files saved in Gaia. And when you click on the Gaia link, hopefully it's going to load here, it creates a data summary track. So anybody, if I make that public, can download this section. So this is going to be helpful for when I have friends come out and say they want to paste a section. I can direct them to this link where it'll show the map, it'll show the GPX file available for download. Here we go. And then it'll also show the elevation profile down here, ascent and descent, total mileage, And this is great because it's interactive. So you can click and drag and see where the climbs, where the descents are, stuff like that. And then also with Gaia, it's great because you can drop little waypoints, they're called, like little pins where, you know, here's a restaurant, or here's restrooms, or yada yada, or like here's where I'm going to meet my friend at mile so-and-so. So that is kind of the process of creating these different sections, and then I'm linking them here in the spreadsheet so I can easily access them. So the other thing that I'm doing is when I'm going out on these recon missions is I'm coming back into the spreadsheet and adding some notes of like things that I notice where, oh, this would be a great place to stop for a resupply, or this would be a great access point for crew to meet up and do a resupply. So that is pretty much the overview of creating this part of the spreadsheet. You can see there's different tabs down here. I don't have to go into too much detail. They're kind of self-explanatory, but this gear tab, I've got a list of all the gear that I anticipate bringing. This is definitely a working document where it's going to change over the next 6 months as I trial different things, especially the whole sleep system thing. I think that's a really big unknown, and that's going to take a lot of trial and error of figuring out what works and what doesn't work. There's also a nutrition and hydration tab working again with my friend Dina Griffin. She's a sport dietitian, the best out there. Check her out, nutritionmechanic.com. We just started this out, so there's not too much information in here, but it's going to be evolving over the next 5-6 months as I trial different things. Probably do a whole separate vlog on that about trialing different food. This is going to look different than other adventures in the past. We're going to learn to eat from gas station and quick marts and stuff like that. So that's going to change a lot over the next 5-6 months. And then there's also a couple different plans, couple drafts that have gone on so far. This was the first one I made. I called it KL Stupid because it was incredibly aggressive and unrealistic. So this plan's not happening. The second plan, my friend Robin came over and we worked on it a little bit more conservative, taking a little bit longer, about 11 days or so. But yeah, this is the current plan that I've got so far, and it would be finishing up in about 9 days. So I hope that gives you a good overview of what the spreadsheet is looking like so far. Again, I'm an open book. If you've got questions, feel free to reach out. Happy to help in any way that I can. So I'm going to divide this video up into two. The next video I'm going to post tonight will be a bunch of video clips from the first 2 recon outings that I had on the long path. So 2 weeks ago, I went out and did 15 miles, starting in Mount Ivy, New York, finishing in Nyack, Route 59. And then this past week, I started in Nyack, Route 59, and finished at the GWB in New York City. So basically my plan of attack is starting south and working my way up north as the weather gets warmer. Though I'm actually hearing trail reports that the Catskills are pretty much snow and ice free. So hoping to get up there a couple times before the big trip in May with my 2 friends, Robin and Dina, who'll be doing that long section with me, about 100 miles in July. So we're going to do a fun recon trip up in May, but more on that later. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next vlog.